Hi everyone. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about a recent addition to the Criterion collection, I think in July of 2022, so just a couple weeks ago from when I'm recording this, and that is 1955 movie Summertime, directed by David Lean, starring Katherine Hepburn, Rossano Brazzi. This is an upgrade from a DVD, a 4K restoration. Spine number 22, so this was a very early Criterion DVD in dire need of restoration. They did not release this in UHD, but this is still the three-strip Technicolor, one of the last films, I guess, that used that process. And as it's filmed in Venice, it looks absolutely spectacular on Blu-ray. Might have looked even better on UHD, but I guess we'll never know. And it's the story, Katherine Hepburn playing character Jane Hudson. It's one of her iconic characters, I think, in her career. And she's playing a middle-aged spinster. That was a word very much in vogue in the 1950s and before, indicating a woman who has reached middle age without ever gaining a husband. She describes herself as a fancy secretary. She's from Akron, Ohio. This is the dream, the trip of her life, to go to Venice. She saved her money up. This is where something wonderful has to happen to her. She feels like she has missed out on those kind of romantic adventures and leaving a memory that will last her the rest of her life. And here Katherine Hepburn is so tremendous. I mean, this is a character, like I say, she was born to make it, because she has sort of fragile, brittle kind of looks, but also bravery. And it's pretty brave in 1955, especially for a woman to travel all by herself from Akron, Ohio to Venice, Italy. And the film begins as a portrait of loneliness, because even though she is now in the city of her dreams, the vacation of her lifetime, everybody else is going their various ways, and she's left alone at the Pensione Fiorini with a beautiful view of Venice from her room and beautiful veranda overlooking a canal. But she's lonely, and so she begins to wander the maze of streets of Venice, and she becomes befriended by a street urchin, a world-wise little boy who doesn't think anything askance of trying to sell her pornographic postcards. And then she is in the great piazza where she's having a drink, sitting all by herself, and accompanied by her 8mm camera, in which she's trying to capture everything on film. Film being her experience is what I saw, but really what she wants is an actual experience. And she's noticed by this Lothario-looking man, Renato, played by Rossano Brazzi. He admires her ankles, and then through circumstances that are a bit serendipitous, she meets him again later on, or she has noticed the way he's looking at her, and then they meet the following day. And he seems quite taken with her. Is he a gigolo? Is he just a man there to prey on lonely women tourists from other countries? Or does he genuinely want to grant her that experience that she so longs for? Now, in the play we learn in the supplements, it was based on a play called The Time of the Cuckoo by Arthur Lawrence, famous for writing the book to West Side Story, and some other Gypsy too, I think he did. But the Broadway play was not, Shirley Booth played the part, and the Renato part was much darker. I'm glad they changed it. David Lean didn't particularly care for the play. So I'm glad they changed it. It's not that this is a sunny movie. Well, it is a sunny movie, sun-drenched Venice, but it's bittersweet. It's not all bitter, it's not all sweet. And what Renato comes up against with Jane Hudson, as he is evidently intrigued by her, is her attitude towards sex. He wants her to have this experience that he thinks she really does want, but you know, the Middle West puritanical American attitudes. He says to her, "Why do Americans take sex so seriously? Just let it go. Go with the flow." And then the location of Venice. It's great beauty. It's great unusual beauty. You know, can disrupt attitudes. Even anytime you go away from home, your attitudes might, on vacation, your attitudes might change a little bit. What can you do? What can you do differently than what you did at home? And can Jane Hudson overcome this reluctance, this hesitation, especially when she finds out that Renato is a married man? So it's a dilemma for her. Venice is certainly a location that can heighten one's sense of romance. And Alexander Korda, who was the producer, he advised Lean and Jack Hildyard, and don't shy away from the cliches. Give us a picture postcard view of Venice. And this is probably, of the films I've seen set in Venice, and there's a ton of them, this is probably the most picture postcard. But it works because we're seeing Venice through the romanticized eyes of Jane Hudson. And there's other views of Venice. You know, this the romantic view. Then there's the murderous past view, mystical Baroque view of Venice, say from Don't Look Now, or Paul Schrader's The Comfort of Strangers, which sees Venice as something. The murderous past comes to the future. There's none of that here. This is the romantic view that dominates most depictions of Venice. Now, of course, action films, James Bond movies use, in their travelogue nature, they use Venice often as a backdrop, a very picturesque backdrop. But in this film, Venice is a character in the movie. It's the beauty of it is the conduit to changing Jane Hudson's attitudes and to provide her with that experience she so desires. And her tourism is contrasted with the typical American tourist. The Macalinis, this retired couple that she meets on the boat on the way to the Pensione Fiorini, they actually are staying there as well. And they just go boom, 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 Venice, Florence, Milan, Rome, Paris, and you know, in a span of weeks. But Jane is there. This is her holiday. She's there in Venice. She wants to absorb as much of this city and what it might have to offer her as she possibly can. And David Lean, the director, often stated that that Summertime was his favorite movie, and he emphasizes the loneliness part of it. And also this type of romance, it harkens back. It would be a good double bill with the earlier David Lean film, Brief Encounter. And so he oftentimes does seem attracted to stories of very passionate love, but a passionate love that has an end time. It's not going to last forever. It's something that it may not be exactly doomed, but you see it in Dr. Zhivago and Ryan's Daughter and in Brief Encounter. And Brief Encounter, Summertime is it's the last of the films before David Lean goes into his epic phase with The Bridge on the River Kwai and Lawrence of Arabia and Dr. Zhivago, even Ryan's Daughter. But in some ways, it is very similar in Lean's interest in other places, in foreign locations, in emphasizing those locations as a very integral part of the story. He wanted to get away from Britain. He didn't like it. he didn't think he was appreciated, or he just wanted to get away. His marriage at the time of Summertime, his marriage to Ann Todd was breaking up, and he wanted to just, and his career seemed to be a bit in the doldrums, and Alexander Korda actually brought the play Time of the Cuckoo to him to see if that was something he would be interested in, and also using Venice as an inspiration, not just for Jane Hudson, but for David Lean himself. And so Criterion's package, I love this kind of artwork. I know lots of people don't, but I just adore it. It's great original kind of artwork, and here's the interior where you see the great piazza, and which this film really takes advantage of, and here's the artwork on the disc. The red shoes, there's red shoes here that are become very significant part of the romantic culmination. And then we get, in the supplements, we get a brand new discussion with Melanie Williams, who has written a book on David Lean. It's about 25 minutes. It's really good. It's really well. She has lots of information placing Summertime in the context of David Lean's career. And then we have really only two more supplements. One is a audio conversation with Jack Hildyard, who is the cinematographer, and he talks about Technicolor and how they filmed Summertime, but he also talks about his entire career. And then David Lean, there's a 1963 interview from Canadian television with David Lean. Talks very little about Summertime in this interview, but he does say that his favorite actress, the favorite actor that he had ever worked with, was Katherine Hepburn. He so admired her, and she's so brave. The famous scene, talk about bravery, the famous scene in Summertime is when she's taking a picture of a scenic picture, and she's backing up to get a bigger view, and she falls into the canal, where she actually had long-term eye injury from falling into the canal. She actually did. That was no double. You could see that. And then, we have the pesky booklet that continues the artwork motif. This is a scene of her loneliness, and Jane Hudson's loneliness. And we get an essay from Stephanie Zacharek, I guess it is. She is the film critic for Time magazine, and it's an absolutely great essay in this little pesky booklet. No commentary. I mean, come on. This is such a significant movie for David Lean, for Katherine Hepburn, for the Technicolor brilliance. It could have used a commentary, but Criterion doesn't seem to think that people actually want them, but I'm certainly one of the ones that would have wanted them. One for Summertime. Okay, so another highly recommended recent Criterion release, and they've been on quite a roll with me of late. So anyways, thanks a lot for everybody who managed to listen to me this far. I really do appreciate it. Comments are welcome. I will respond. Take care.